What is a common myth about your country that is 100% false but many people still believe in it? Mexico is a desert. I hear it's also entirely in sepia tone. The Yucatan is fully rainforest. It's where jaguars come from. Pfft. Jaguars come from England. Same as Bentley. Not exactly myth, but decent amount of PPL still think that Czechoslovakia still exists. We split apart in 1993. We are Czech Republic, not Czechoslovakia anymore. Edit. To make it clear, Czech Republic, shortcut Czechia, and Slovakia are two different countries. Edit 2. FYI, Slovakia and Slovenia are also two different countries. They are not even neighboring countries. I had a friend who used to answer to people asking where he is from. I come from a country that no longer exists. That the Irish are the biggest drunks in the world, completely false and mean, as we're only the second biggest drinker in the world, but we hope to get first place next year. Dracula is often depicted as living in Transylvania. While he was imprisoned there for a while, he was actually the ruler of Wallachia, another historic Romanian province that neighbors Transylvania to the south. As for the rumor that we are vampires, I either confirm nor deny this statement. Edit. Thanks for the awards, mortals. I mean friends. Note to self: wear a scarf when visiting Romania. Edit. I'm gonna bring a shit ton of garlic too, just to be safe. I've never seen a mime in Paris. Did you check behind the invisible wall? Everyone plays soccer and knows how to dance samba. There are monkeys in the streets. The capital is Rio de Janeiro. I remember when I went to Peru and told people I was from Brazil, and people assumed I lived in the jungle and walked around nude and stuff. In Peru. I mean, wasn't the capital Rio de Janeiro until the 60s? It's currently Brasilia, for those too lazy to look it up. We're all sad, there's no sun, there's always snow. Russia? Russia. Romania. Many people believe we have vampires, but in my 700 years of living here, I haven't even seen one. I asked my mates back in the castle and they also haven't seen any, and they've been around for longer than I. Something's wrong here, I can feel it. All Germans have some secret knowledge of the Second World War too they would love to share. I always found that interesting when I lived in London and ESP English people 40 plus would ask me of some first-hand experience of the war. Keep in mind that not even my parents were born at that time. Fact, we know the same as you do from history classes, etc. No need to tell the Allies about our secret moon bases. I guess we know more than average since it's a major part in education, while in other countries it's just a chapter. However, I agree, we don't know more than you can read in any history book, Wikipedia article. Australian here. Everyone thinks it's as dangerous as fuck that spiders, drop bears, snakes, feral cats and dogs will rip your fucking heart out every time you step out the door. The truth is that unless you act like a halfwit, poke said snake spider with your finger, then you'll be fine. Battle echidna, dervish spiders, saltwater crocodiles and drop bears don't live in suburbia. You need to go into the bush to even see a lizard, which usually promptly fucks off the moment a stone-footed Oompa Loompa waddles past. Sure, it's not as dangerous as people believe unless you go looking for the dangerous shit. However, I have seen plenty of Australians talking about finding huntsman's spiders inside their home, and that's enough to stay the fuck away from me. Many years ago, I was in Australia and with some friends of a friend driving around near Albury. At some point I mentioned that I wanted to see a kangaroo. The driver didn't say a word, but started looking around the side of the road. All of a sudden, he slammed on the brakes, pulled over and got out of the car. I followed out. On the side of the road was a dead kangaroo, hit by a car. He then pointed to it, looked at me and said, "There, you saw one, can we go to the bar now?" Another myth is that we lost the Emu War. We didn't just lose. We got fucking demolished. That we roam around with wild animals like lions and rhinos, have no cities and thus live in huts, and that we're all poor and malnourished. With news items or things on Reddit, country related pretty much anywhere in the world is named by the name of the country. But when it's an African country, then it's Africa. Pisses me off. Hey, that's not true. We know all three African countries, Egypt, Africa and South Africa. I had to tell my little cousins in the UK that no, Unfortunately, we don't ride kangaroos to school and work every day. No one thinks Aussies work every day. Iceland was not named as part of some conspiracy to keep folks away from a good thing. The name comes from the fact that early settlers arrived during summer and then suffered horrible losses of livestock and people once winter hit, and icebergs were seen filling the fjords. It was more of a warning than anything that this place sucked. Greenland, on the other hand, was probably named as such to make it sound more hospitable. Parts of Greenland were actually fairly green when it was named in 1000 AD, at least in the southwestern corner where Eric the Red landed, thanks to the Gulf Stream taking a slightly different route back then. That we still live in igloos. Wait, you mean the PM doesn't live in the national igloo? Next you'll tell me you don't have a maple syrup tap in the kitchen. Another thing. We don't drink maple syrup like it's juice here. We bathe in it. We're all ginger alcoholics who hate the English and run amongst the hills in our skirts screaming, "Freedom." Correct. You also get blonde and brown-haired Scots. We don't have humor and live to work. Also, our trains are always on time. Germany or Japan? Germany. Well, how many Germans do you need to change a light bulb? 1. We are efficient, not funny. A British couple adopted a German baby. They raised him for years, however he never spoke, so they believed that he was mentally handicapped, going as far as to take him to therapy, which was fruitless. Then, when the child was 6 years old, his parents made him Apfelstrudel, and he suddenly said, "It is a little tepid." His parents, of course shocked that he was suddenly speaking, asked, "Wolfgang, why have you never spoken before?" To which the child replied, "Up until now, everything had been satisfactory." Everyone in Scotland is ginger and wears a kilt. Kilts are bloody expensive. No wonder most Scots that do wear them only wear them for formal occasions except for the tour guides and the occasional lost Highlander. Also warm as fuck. Last time I wore mine was at a wedding, in Edinburgh, a week before Christmas, and I was boiling. It's 9 yards of wool wrapped around your core 2.5 times. I never can understand how the bagpipers in the touristy areas can stand out all day in the summer busking in one. If someone says, "Isn't Ireland part of the UK though?" One more time. Edit, to all you smartasses who replied with the words in the quotation marks, I hate you because you're hilarious. This even happens to well-educated continental Europeans. I'm Dutch, but I had to explain to a room full of university-educated colleagues that yes, sales in Ireland had to be mentioned separately from the ones in the UK as it was A, incorrect, and B, people would take umbrage. Welsh people shag sheep. Temptation is there, but the static shock wouldn't be worth it. That everyone still harbors resentment against Americans, or the French, or the Japanese, or, you get the point. I've actually never met anyone here who held such grudges. It's pretty inspiring, actually. Probably I can learn a lot from that. Vietnam? Yup. We get regular questions from various nationalities on our sub, concerned before traveling here, back when travel was a thing, anyway. That leprechauns are real. Oh, and we are a nation of alcoholics. This actually may be true. Pfft, leprechauns. Ever seen one? No. But fairies, I don't believe in them, but they're there. People generally assume that when you're from Belgium, you are French-speaking. While a big part of the country is francophone, the majority population is Flemish, Dutch-speaking. I blame this on mostly 3 factors. I'm American, but I lived in Egypt for a while. It's incredible that more than one American who wasn't a child asked me if I lived in a pyramid. Do many people walk around wrapped in bandages or just a few? My daddy doesn't, but my mummy does. Nigeria. That everyone here is into scamming people, lol. As a Nigerian, I mean, there is a prevalence of internet scams compared to most other countries. A lot of people confuse different European countries. For Switzerland, you're often Swedish. I'd imagine it's similar for Belgium, Belarus, Slovakia, Slovenia. I'm from Serbia and people used to try and convince me it was a part of Russia, that's Siberia. That it is always hot in Australia. It's not. Finland doesn't exist. Saw some devs stream a strategy game that dynamically generated country names as they formed were conquered. The Finnish viewerships were not happy that Finland became Swedish Russia. People think British people are either stiff upper lip public school boys or cockney bricklayers football hooligans. There's a whole world of people in between. Some of us don't even like football. One of my friends doesn't even drink tea. Not sure why she's my friend, to be honest. Doesn't even drink tea. Wait, what? That's possible? It isn't a crime? A witch! May we burn her? Indians don't speak English. I was asked once how I'm so good at English. Like we are literally the second largest English-speaking country. That sheep roam our highways, New Zealander here. That the only thing we care about is rugby, and we all live in hobbit holes. I, for one, am absolutely terrified of rugby, but I'm Kiwi as, bro. But if you could choose, wouldn't you want to live in a hobbit hole? Woo. Singaporean here. 1. No, we're not part of China. We're not even in the same region. Yes, the population is 60% ethnically Chinese, but that doesn't make us part of China any more than it makes the USA part of Britain. As a matter of fact, there's a problem of racism against mainlander Chinese since locals tend not to see them as true Singaporeans. This is exacerbated by the fact that lots of mainlander Chinese are pretty pro-China, human rights violations and all, while the local Chinese don't like China and the CCP very much. We're closer culturally to Taiwan. 2. It is not illegal to be naked inside your own home. You can be stalkers while bathing or fucking if you like. You just cannot use "I am in my own home" as a defense against streaking or showing everyone your rude bits. 90% of the population live in government apartments, and we don't need pervs flashing their dongs through their windows. Incidentally, this law came about because pervs were flashing their dongs through their windows. Singapore used to have a big flasher problem back in the 80s. Times were weird. 3. It is not illegal to chew gum, only to import, sell it, or bring it onto the trains. This is because dickheads used to literally gum up the train doors and make everyone late for work. The government put up with it for a few months and then said, fuck it, no more gum for everyone. This is why we can have nice things. 4. The government doesn't fine people for every little offense anymore. They used to, but enforcement has become lenient in the last 2 decades. Sadly, this means there's a ton of litter where the streets used to be pristine. Still, you might not want to litter or spit right in front of a police officer. That Brazil is a huge tropical jungle in which people speak Spanish. Brazil actually has several major cities and different environments. Sao Paulo, for instance, is a huge sprawling metropolis with as many inhabitants as New York and Los Angeles combined. In some southern areas of the country it actually snows. And we were a Portuguese colony, so we speak Portuguese. Most people don't realize how fucking massive Brazil is. Its northernmost point is closer to Canada than to its southernmost point. What myth about your country is 100% false but that many people still believe? Leave a comment and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this one.